Oh my god, my first present from a magpie. Come on. Come on. Can you hear my robin up there? I'm trying to get him over, but he's not too fussed at the minute on worms because he's having a bit of a territorial fight with the other couple of robins that are in the plot. And I'm not sure if it's his ex-girlfriend that he had babies with in the summer, or it's another robin trying to steal his ground. I'm not sure, but he's not taking worms off of me today. So I don't tend to feed the birds in the summer too much, other than mealworms out of my hand, because I like them just to forage all of the insects and the bugs and the pests in the garden. But now it's starting to get a little bit cooler. I'm starting to top up all the bird feeders again and making sure that they're well fed. I'm letting all of the other flowers just go to seed now, and all the other plants, just so the birds have got a bit more food now that it's starting to get a bit colder. But yeah, these cosmos are probably the only flower now that I'm still deadheading, because I do still want a little bit of colour on the plot. I've got some Rebecca still blooming, and there are some dahlias as well still going. But other than that, things are starting to die back now. The nights are starting to draw in. It's starting to get dark at about 7:30 now. So I've got a few hours to have a little walk around and show you what's changed since last month. And to be honest, not too much has changed, because I've not managed to be here very much this month at all. I've got my 2 weeks of retreats coming up on Monday. I leave on Monday, they start on Tuesday. And I've just been flat out working to get that sorted. It's a lot of admin and a lot of organisation, but I'm finally there. I think I've got about 140 guests coming over the 2 weeks, which is mind-blowing. In my first year I had about 12 come on each retreat, so I had 24 in total in the first year that I run, and this is my third year now, and I'm just blown away by how many people that I've got booked on. So it's just been a lot of work just to make sure everything's sorted, but yeah, I think I'm finally there now. So lots of things this year have been absolutely savaged by squirrels and rats, and I'm wondering whether the kind of bad summer that we've had has meant that their food stores maybe aren't as abundant as what they're maybe used to, and they're trying to forage and steal what they can from the allotments around here before hibernation kicks in, or before winter kicks in. Almost every single courgette has been nibbled. Loads of my baby's squash. I haven't got very many squash in the garden at all, because they all just got eaten when they were tiny, despite trying to build little cages. Even all of my sunflowers have been decapitated. Some they don't even eat, they just rip the heads off and leave them on the floor. So yeah, I'm not too impressed with the rodents in the pot this year. I'm not too sure what measures I can really take being so close to the woods. I do my best to make little cages for stuff, but I mean, yeah, there's only so much you can do, and they're clever little things. So let me go and take you around and show you what they've eaten and show you what else has gone on. Definitely noticed the temperature drop in the past week or so. It's been quite a mild September up until recently, but yeah, it's definitely starting to get a little bit chillier in there. Just put my coat on, and we're going to start the tour now. I'm going to start at the front of my plot, at the front of my second plot, plot 82. Let's have a little look around. So my front door is in between my two brick houses. So I've got this one here in plot 82 and this one here in plot 81. And the front of the entrance is a bit of a rubbish tip. I've got bags of compost, bags of rubbish, and down here I've still got this little hole that I think is probably a badger. See if I can get my phone in here. Yeah, I don't know how far it goes. But I am going to be clearing out this over winter, so we'll take a look to see how far they've dug, and hopefully it's not damaged my building at all. But let's come through. This area here is looking, well, it's all dying back now, all the squash is dying back. My chair's sat here because this little patch here gets the sun right at the end of the day, and I was doing a bit of painting here. So around here is my pond, and this is going to get a good spruce up over winter, because it's been a little bit neglected and the duckweed's probably taken over. It's quite a healthy pond though. I do see frogs in there, and there are a couple of newts that live in there actually, and the pond lily is thriving. It just needs clearing of all this duckweed. All the crocosmia has all gone over now, and the bramble's starting to peak back, so I need to keep on top of that. Yeah, as I say, I haven't been here and done much. That wheelbarrow and the compost bags are all still there from when I emptied out my potatoes recently. I did that a couple of weeks ago. I didn't have a very good harvest because of the blight, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, this is how the front of the plot's looking. This big old pear tree now is really taken over, and it blocks out all the light. And not just that, it's actually quite dangerous in the winter. So let me come back and show you. You can see how it's very leany, and all of the canopy is just on this side. So that means in the winter, when the snow settles on it, it's really heavy, and I'm surprised it actually didn't come down over winter with all the snow that we had on it. So I actually think it's time for this old big boy to come down, unfortunately, just because otherwise I think it's going to come down itself. So yeah, that might be a job for my arborist mate Wenners over winter. I'll see what he's up to. I've got my Weiglia that I love. I think that's how you pronounce it, Weiglia, Weiglia. This has got lovely pink flowers on it in the springtime. Now, as we come over, I've had a few ichikikuri, I think that's what you call them. These little squash here. Got one still trying to come through. And some flowers still on it. But yeah, I've had a few squash off of this plant already. All of my sunflowers, like I said, have all been decapitated. Look at them. Every single one. I've got a few more buds starting to come up here. But yeah, they've all been decapitated by the squirrels. They absolutely love them. This bed here did have my potatoes in it, blighted potatoes. Actually, they're still in there. I've only pulled up the tops of it. So I need to not forget that there's potatoes in there, because I need to harvest these in a few days for my retreats. And I've still got potatoes in this one. And it's this bed here that I've harvested. And I've still got some potatoes here. And actually, my garlic's all started to come up already. Look, it's pretty cool. My beans didn't take off this year. They were late planted, got hardly any sun. Had quite a few beans off of them, but they're not nearly as big and lush as they have been in previous years. I've still got a few little beans on here now that I'm just leaving to actually use as seeds next year. It's definitely time to get rid of all of the rest of this potato foliage now. It's all succumbing to blight. These bollotti beans, doing alright. I've just letting these dry out on the plants now. I've had quite a few harvests already, and these remaining ones I'm just going to let go to seed and harvest these seed pods for next year. God, it's such a grey day, isn't it? These cosmos do brighten it up somewhat. It's very blustery. Let's go over here, see how the hops are doing that I planted quite recently. They're all starting to climb up this little fence now. Gonna train these. I might put some string up in between these two plots, mine and my neighbours, and then the hops can kind of just grow up there and feed us both. My little lilac shrub at the bottom is doing alright. I can't wait for that to all start flowering. I'm gonna try and hedge quite a lot of my plot with lilac because I do love it. Along here is another disappointing flower bed, and again it just didn't get enough light. Main culprits is this big old pear tree because it gets, it blocks out a lot of the morning light, and then also the spruce tree as well, but that's not going anywhere, so I'm just gonna have to rethink what plants I grow here. Definitely a lot more shaded things rather than sun-loving dahlia and cosmos. So this part of my plot's looking a little bit messy at the minute, and that's because I've been working on some things for my retreat. So I've been making some little wooden kind of sculptures. I'll show you actually. They're in the polytunnel. Hang on. Let's go inside. So I've been making some mushrooms to go up in the woodlands. So my retreats are set in a 42-acre woodland in Norfolk. Hang on, let me zoom out so you can actually see. Just looks like a giant penis at the moment, doesn't it? Yeah, so you can see a little bit better now. Excuse the mess in the polytunnel. It's not long been cleared out of all of the blighted tomatoes. But yeah, these are little wooden sculptures. My retreats are set in a 42-acre forest, and I make it quite magical with little sculptures and artworks everywhere. So here we've got the Amanita muscaria, fly agaric, Psilocybe semelanciata, or the liberty caps, and then we've got Phallus impudicus, or the stinkhorn, which is one of my favourite mushrooms. Yeah, they do look a little bit distorted on the wide angle lens, but yeah, I think they're going to look pretty cool up in the woodlands. I painted these, well, I've been doing it over the past few weeks. I bought a new jigsaw, so I've just been messing around with that. And yeah, I've been having fun painting these in the sunshine. I can't wait to see them up in the forest. I think they're going to look pretty cool. Come out of the poly, and then we've got these two beds just at the side. It's looking a little bit weedy in here. But over on this side we've got some turnips that are doing quite well. They're all starting to fatten up down here now, and a few nasturtiums. But it's my autumn raspberries that are kind of taking the crown on the plot at the minute. There is about to be an explosion of berries, and what is very, very sad. So I'm going to be away now for 2 weeks. So it looks like Ryan's going to get to enjoy these. Let him come in and help himself, because it's better than them going to waste or making more food for the grey squirrels. But yeah, this is how the plot's looking right at the end of September. Not much is going on, is it? Over here are all my cosmos that I showed you at the start of the video. Just been doing a little bit of deadheading. What else have we got? My bathtub's not had any more uses. After the retreats, I'm actually going to come down here and dedicate some time in my bathtub. So I'm going to come down and maybe camp for a few nights and just yeah, make the most of it, because I've not had enough time, or as much time as I would have liked. It is one of my favourite features of the allotment. And over the back here, all of the evening primrose took over this little spot. It's been a really, really good year for the evening primrose. Got lots and lots of new little plants that are all seeded down here, so next year it's going to be even better. This fatseed japonica that I planted is finally starting to get going. It had a bit of a bad start when I put it in, and it lost quite a lot of its leaves, but it's really starting to come into its own again now. And then we've got the clematis at the back climbing over this archway, and I need to keep on top of those brambles because it won't be long before they will start coming in again. Down in the corner, I don't know if you can see, but I've got a little rose that I planted not too long ago, and I thought it might be a bit of a dark place for it to start off with, but I'm quite surprised because it has actually started to spread over the back there, which is really nice. Teasel all needs harvesting because it's collapsed. And in here is just some little herbs, some nasturtiums, some oregano, thyme, some sea lavender, some little bits and bobs. So these trees down here really, really need planting because they've been super neglected. Look at the state of them, because they've just had really inconsistent watering in these pots. They're desperate to go in. And also, little critters keep digging as well, which is not great for them. But yeah, this little area has not had too much love over the summer, and you can see all of this fireweed as well. Really desperately needs chopping back now because all of the seeds are starting to blow in my neighbour's plots, which isn't very good. It's not very neighbourly, so I need to get that sorted, get these cut down. I'll probably only cut the top seeded bits off because I still want a little bit of shelter over the next couple of months. But yeah, it's all looking pretty jungly around here. My rhubarb has got swallowed in the fireweed, and then all of my autumn fruit and raspberries, some more of them over here. Look, absolutely laden. And I don't think, well, these might ripen before I go, but I doubt it. Probably just going to miss it. But I have got a few big bunches to take home with me today. Yeah, it's been an awesome year for raspberries. My fruit trees, on the other hand, absolutely rubbish year for them. My plums rubbish, apples rubbish, pears rubbish. But yeah, the raspberries doing really, really well. And I also had a really good black currant and currant year. But the only problem is I didn't actually get to harvest my currants because the pigeons got there before me. But yeah, fruit bush is great, trees not so great. And this is one of my favourite little walkways through the allotment. It's a little windy path through the bay trees and the raspberry bushes. And it just goes through here. Oh, there's some more raspberries down here. I have one of those, looks delicious. That's good. Do you remember these honesty that I've said that I was going to harvest for the past 3 months? It's still here, but it'd be perfect now actually. See these seeds? Might just try and scatter some of these because I wouldn't mind some more honesty. So the seeds are just in there. They can be used to make mustard, a really, really great mustard substitute. And then these kind of like pearlescent discs here are really lovely for flower arrangements. People use them in wedding bouquets because they've got that really lovely kind of ivory colour to them. Really pretty, honesty. And then we come through here and I've still got this huge old log pile that I really, really need to get cut up into firewood. Because it's ash and it burns really, really well, so I'd love to use some of that as my firewood and keep a little store of that. Down here, I was just seeing if, ow, stinging nettles. I was just seeing if there's any wine caps down here. I can't see any wine caps, but I can see some of this coral fungus, some more of this Romaria stricta that was absolutely carpeting my plot. It was everywhere. Yeah, some more of that popping up, but no more wine caps. I was hoping I might find a few more in time for the retreats. Yeah, there's lots and lots of lemon balm all popping up down here. It's all spread. And the calendula as well, self-seeded. We've got some gladioli. It's a very, very pretty colour. And I've just spied as well. I just saw a little rat run past here. Oh, look, can you see him? Just ran underneath my skate ramp. I think that's probably prime territory for the rats, to be honest, in the winter. It's dry, it's warm, and it's safe. I'm not going to put traps under there, and I'm not going to put poison under there, so I don't really know any other solutions, really. You catch one, and 3 more come from the river, so it's quite hard to keep on top of. My little wildlife area at the back here is looking very wild, and you can't even see that pond down there, can you? And that's another pond that I'm going to be renovating over winter, I think, anyway, or I might actually be turning that into a swamp area. I think I mentioned that in one of my other videos. But that hogweed up there, seeds all ready to harvest now. And yeah, it's looking lovely through here. By those cosmos at the end of the pathway there. I like to keep them because they are very, very pretty. So you can walk that way to my skate ramp, just round the back, but there's also a couple of little steps here to get through. So all of the dahlias are very, very late coming out, but they're all starting to flower now. And they're really, really pretty. I like to make little bunches of these and take home. It's been really, really nice to have lots of fresh flowers in the house. But yeah, these are really starting to kick off now, which is funny because it's probably going to frost in a couple of weeks. So they're going to be very short-lived this year, the dahlias. But the yarrow as well, down here, very, very pretty. And I've harvested lots of this and dried it for tea. And I'm just going to let this stuff go to seed now. See if I can grow some more of it. Yeah, so the skate ramp's looking alright actually. It's quite dry, it's not very soggy, and I've had a couple of skates on it recently, but not as much as I would have liked this summer, to be honest. My boyfriend's left his bottle of beer down there. This skate ramp is one of my favourite parts of the allotment, and I built it in lockdown when all of the skate parks closed. And yeah, I was kind of gutted because I didn't have anywhere to go and skate. It's very meditative, skateboarding. So I had a little space at the back of my allotment, and just built our own here. And it's been so great over the last few years, and I've taught hundreds of people how to skate on this little ramp. I always have little gatherings and parties and do lessons here, and it's really, really lovely.
Yeah! I can eat pizza now!
It's only tiny, it's 2 foot high by about 19 foot long. And yeah, it's been resurfaced year before last, so it's due a resurface in spring. But it's held up alright actually, considering that I don't really cover it. But I do love this little ramp. I really think it's important to keep an element of play in your garden, because I mean that's what it's about at the end of the day, isn't it? You're just playing in your garden. And if you can have lots of little elements that can kind of encourage that, I think it's all the more better for it. I've got my wood-fired bathtub, my skate ramp, my fire pits, and yeah, I just love having all of these little extra things in the allotment, like the kitchen, so I can cook my food. All of these things just make the space a lot more lovely to be in, and you want to spend more time down here, and then that's how you get so much done. I mean, if you want to spend your time down here, make it as fun as possible, I say. And if that involves building a skate ramp when you're 36, so be it. I think it looks pretty cool at the back here. But anyway, here are my little flower beds, and I've got one along here. There's not really much to show you, to be honest. They've all died back now. Again, it wasn't a great year. It's not been a great year for much on this part, but the enjoyment's been top notch, so can I complain? But I love this little orchard area. It's one of my favourite parts of the plot. All of my fruit trees in here. Can't remember how many fruit trees I've got, but probably about 9 or 10, I think. And it's all underplanted with little guilds. Got some rhubarb and chard down here, sage, some raspberries all under here. Got a goji berry. This is my ice bath that I've actually only used once or twice over the summer when it was really hot. But I'm going to be taking this to my retreats and setting that up alongside the sauna and the hot tub. Going to have like a little wild spa area, which would be really lovely. But yeah, lots more raspberries on here. This is a mix of summer and autumn fruit and raspberries under here. It's not been a great year for the fruit trees, as I said. This is the kind of in-between year because they give me a heavy fruit in every other year. But I haven't actually had such a little crop even in my in-between years. Not been a great summer, and then the animals cleared up what was left. But yeah, then you come through here, it's my little archway area. Oh, actually along here there's a couple of beds, you can't really see them. Let me put you on normal lens. Yeah, so along here I've got a couple of really long planters that go all the way along here, and they were full of strawberries. You can still see some little plants trying to hold their own through the weeds, but yeah, it's been proper taken over by lots of other various plants that I need to clear out. I'm probably not going to plant strawberries there this year because the cherry tree has gotten a hell of a lot bigger since I planted them up, and creates a bit of shade, and to be honest, all of the animals scurry along this little pathway anyway, so I don't really tend to get any fruits. So I think I'm going to be planting maybe some more lettuce along there soon as it's so shady. And then we come through my archway, and then this leads down to my little herb spiral here, which is overgrown. Look at it. the sorrel. Look at the sorrel. And then the wormwood as well. It's absolutely collapsed. All of the echinacea, all of the echinops, and the rosemary's all starting to take over this little spot now as well. Needs a good old prune, but I'm going to actually be taking lots and lots of these herbs to the retreats next week. So this will probably look very, very different next week. And I'll do another tour, obviously, when I get back in October. But yeah, this is what the herb sparrow was looking like at the end of September. It is wild. And then as we pan around, we've got the little squash and calendula bed and these sunflowers that I'm surprised are still there. I've had quite a few that have been stolen by the squirrels, but there's still a few of them knocking about. But yeah, there's loads of squash. What we got down here, spied one earlier. What's that? I think that's a little Turk's turban. Yeah, this one's a little Turk's turban. I hate that name. Horrible name. But then got quite a few in here as well. I can see that one's been nibbled. And then there's one hiding under there. And I can see one over there. They're all just kind of sprawling through all of the calendula. That does need a good deadhead because the calendula will actually keep flowering, and I do like to harvest this as medicine all the way throughout the year, so I do try and keep on top of my calendula as well. The calendula for the medicine and the cosmos just for the prettiness factor. But yeah, everything else is pretty much going to seed now, and I'm just going to let it can feed the birds. Get them all nice and fat for winter. But yeah, it's not looking too bad actually. There's a little rhubarb, it's doing alright down there. But yeah, so along here there's not too much going on. I planted out some beetroot recently in my most recent video. I'll link that at the top if you're interested in watching it. But yeah, this is my newly planted beetroot. And then, look, this is what I was saying earlier about the squirrels eating everything. Look, they're just eating all of the courgettes. I'm going to harvest that and chop the end off and actually salvage what I can for a bit of dinner. But they're just eating all of them. I'm not getting a chance, really, to let them get very big. They're just getting very hungry, these squizzles. Let's have a look in this one. Got some little babies all growing in here, but yeah, I reckon they're all just going to get munched, aren't they? And I've got some wormwood growing along the edges of my beds. I like to grow lots of medicinal plants that have got quite strong scents all at the edges of my beds. And well, I hope it deters pests, but it doesn't deter rodents, clearly. And then these beds here, I planted lots of rows of lettuce and other bits and bobs, but it looks like the pigeons have eaten all of those because the ones that are underneath the little netting here are fine, so I reckon it was the job of the pigeons, those ones. But I've got some kohlrabi and some radishes all growing under here, some celeriac. The kohlrabi's plants are actually starting to get a little bit bigger now, which is nice. And then at the ends of these plants I've got a nice little sized squash there. I don't know what he is. Don't know if it's a pumpkin or what growing, but I don't think I actually grew pumpkins this year, so it's not going to be a pumpkin. I don't know what he is. But there's a bigger one here. A hand for comparison. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to be. They're not going to be ready for a while though. But there's quite a few more flowers and little fruits on here, so I might get a few more out of these couple of plants, you know. So pan around. This is well, that's the herb spiral there. And then these two beds. I can see a nice couple of sized courgettes over here. But as I come closer, I can see that these two have been nibbled. That one's just starting to get nibbled there. And then I can see this one as well has all been nibbled at the end, so I'm going to harvest these because otherwise I'm not going to get any, am I? So all this stuff here is actually just the colouring of the leaves. It's not powdery mildew. And I've seen some people pull up their plants because of this, but some types of squash and courgette just have this sort of silvery markings. But yeah, this is my strawberry bed. I just popped some squash in here because, yeah, I didn't really need the space for the strawberries this time of year. A few little nibbled courgettes there. And a couple of little raspberries. I've eaten most of them. And I'm starting to harvest these little straw flower heads as well. Where should we go? Let's go this way. Yeah. So that's the first ever pond that I built. And that's actually a sunken in bathtub from my old house. Now you can't see it at all, can you? But it is in there. This needs a good sort out, this little area. Although the wildlife do love it, but you can't really see the pond. And I'd like to have it back as a bit more of a feature. So I'm going to be sorting all of the ponds out over winter. We pan round and it's my mum's bed, my mum's little remembrance border. And all of this salvia that I thought died over winter is all proper come back now. So yeah, this is the salvia hot lips, and because it's quite dark so it's not really focusing very, very well, so I hope you can see it alright. But this little kind of like lipstick kiss bit at the end here gives it the name hot lips, salvia hot lips. It's a really, really pretty little kind of flowering shrub. But it gets quite unruly, so you've got to keep chopping it back. But it's really, really pretty. All of the lupins are all done for the year now. I've cleared out a little bit of room down here. And yeah, all of the shrubs are looking quite nice. I just need to give them a bit of a trim over the winter months, but it's looking quite nice in here. And I love this dahlia. I don't even know where this come from, this dahlia. It must have been a little tiny bit of tuber that was in a compost bucket that I used to mulch the beds with last year, and it's just come back. But it's really, really quite pretty. It doesn't really go with my blue colour theme, but it's very welcome because there's not much blue going on at the minute. But yeah, I do like this little border. It's really pretty. The St John's wort has had 2 flowerings this year. It's been quite productive. Then as we come around here, I've got the lovely, lovely gladioli. It's a nice kind of maroon colour. It's really, really pretty. Yeah, this is how the plot's looking. That rudbeckia, it's really pretty. Really brightens up that corner. I think I'm going to be cutting all of those flowers for my retreat, which is quite sad to see that colour go for the year. But I want as many flowers as possible. On this little bench down here, I've got some lettuce that I've sowed maybe a few weeks ago now that all needs to go out in the beds. I think I'm going to do that just before I go away. And then some turnips and coriander as well. Do not judge me for this mess in this greenhouse. It gets like this time of year, doesn't it? So this is the greenhouse, and this too has started to succumb to blight now. It held off pretty well, but I came in here today and noticed all of these kind of wilting leaves. So I think it's time these go now. A few of the fruits started to ripen in here, but most of them still green. I've got these lovely, lovely black beauties. Stunning colour. But yeah, lots of them are still very, very green. But I think I'm just going to have to pull all of these up and harvest all of these now. I've got one last little patch to show you, and that is the little cabbage patch, which is all along this back row here. I've got quite a few cabbages all hearting up now, and some cauliflowers as well. Let me show you. Yeah, okay, so yeah, these cabbages, very, very firm now, really good. That one is quite new, so that one's not ready. But yeah, all of these are really firm. Kale's looking great. These cabbages here, I think these are the greyhounds. These are just starting to heart up properly. These aren't ready just yet. Still needs to firm up a little bit, as does that one. That one looks like it's starting to flower now. This one will probably come with me to the retreat, and we'll use that as kind of like brassica leaves in our bakes and our salads and stuff. But yeah, this is my little cabbage patch, and all of the cauliflowers are all starting to head up as well now. All looking quite nice. You can see them all starting to come up, even the little ones. These weren't even planted too long ago. This one looks like it's starting to explode. This one I might harvest. Looks like it's starting to bolt a little bit somehow. But yeah, got quite a few in here, and they're all looking alright. I don't know if you can actually see them properly. Yeah, I don't know how well you can see this because the light's really starting to go now. I totally underestimated how dark, or how quickly it got dark. And it's only just 7 o'clock now, and the light is really dim. My eucalyptus is looking quite nice now. Gave that a good chop not too long ago, earlier on in the summer. End of spring I gave this a good chop, and it's starting to look alright again. But yeah, this is how the allotment's looking at the end of September. So that's the end of the tour. Actually, wait, look at all of these crab apples up here. Don't know if you can see them, hang on. All of the crab apples on this tree are all starting to ripen now. I'm thinking that I might be able to harvest these just in time for my retreat, and then we can make a little crumble with this in the pizza oven or something. But there's hundreds and hundreds of little tiny apples on here. I don't know if you can hear, but my robin is screeching for me. So I'm gonna go and find him, give him some worms before I go home. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is my first ever gift from a magpie. He traded me for the end of my sandwich that he stole off me earlier. And if you look closely, I think, where is it? It might be on this side. Yeah, if you look closely, just there, you can see that little V shape from where he was holding it in his beak. He swapped me for a bit of sandwich. So I think I've got a new little mate there. Stoked. Robin and a magpie friend. Hoping they don't clash. I'm so stoked at that.